Hello and welcome to It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Joining me today is David Harrison, who is one of the partners in the resurrected Buon Giorno restaurant on 17th Avenue. Thanks a lot for joining us today, Dave.
Mario, a real pleasure. Thank you.
Well, let me just start by asking you, David, who is behind the resurrection, so to speak, of Buon Giorno's?
Sure. Well, quite simply, it's myself and my business partner on this venture, a gentleman by the name of Ken Couillard and his family, and myself. It is the two of us. Long, dedicated, and loyal customers of Buon Giorno. We've come here for years, starting as young adults and with our families. Probably even before that, and have been loyal to this restaurant as what we'd like to refer to as a true Italian trattoria over the course of the last probably 2-3 decades. So it was an opportunity that we had seen, and thought, you know what, let's run with this. Let's explore this and see what opportunity could come out of it.
So when does the restaurant officially reopen?
Our official reopening date is October 5th, so this coming Monday, and we are operating under the normal hours, as many of our loyal customers will remember, from approximately 11:30 right through till 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, let me just go back in time a little bit. We're not going to talk
Sure.
about the old owners of the establishment at all, but
Okay.
I want you to explain just when you heard that this iconic Calgary institution, an institution where you could frequently see Ralph Klein, having some beverages and a meal along with his trusted cohort Rod Love,
There we go. Yes.
other politicians, business leaders, community leaders. When you heard that Buon Giorno's had shut down permanently, what was your first reaction?
Disappointment. And I think that's a comment that's echoed by so many, Mario. It was, you've touched on a couple of those points, and some of the dedicated, loyal politicians and sports celebrities alike that have been coming to this restaurant for over 4 decades. So with that said, when I caught wind of it, I should say we caught wind of it, I jumped on the phone right away and contacted the new building owner. And there's a funny story there that I shouldn't go into, but at the same time, it was a bit of a surprise, I think, to a lot of people that the restaurant had closed. With that, my business partner and I sat down and just quickly said, look, this isn't broken, and there's still great opportunity here. I'm going to run with this. Are you in? And I'd like to tell you that there was a lot of science and a lot of, calculations and business mantra that went into this. In fairness, Mario, it wasn't. It was, this isn't ready to close. Let's do this. Let's see what we can do. And over the course of 2.5 months in negotiating with Frank Leonardelli in Arlington, who is our landlord in this particular, in this business, we were able to put together what I think and hope is very favorable terms, and provided us the opportunity to buy the restaurant and be Buon Giorno's again. And, without getting on my soapbox or proudly getting on my soapbox to sell the joys and the history with this restaurant, I can certainly tell you that, with that said, that, this restaurant was never broken. I think it suffered from a little bit of building wear and tear, shall we say. I don't think she'd had a lot of love put into her over a 35-year period. And so our biggest obstacle was compounded by 2 things. One, and the thing that I did first, I should point out, before we decided to sign on the lease, was going back to the original kitchen and original front of house staff to ensure that they would be interested in coming back. And that, surprisingly, was one of the easiest things that I had to do during this entire process. And I'd like to again say that it wasn't anything, I think, to do with me. One of the great things, Mario, and I know you already know this about Buon Giorno's, is that there is a love and a loyalty to this building and this business and this restaurant that extends not only to the customer, our loyal customers and our clientele, but also to the staff that have worked here. We've got over 120 years of combined, work history that still remains with us, that bought into us as their new ownership, and us as the way we wanted to operate it. And again, just to echo, it wasn't our intention to change Buon Giorno in any way, shape, or form. What Buon Giorno has is the three key ingredients that most restaurateurs die for, and that is exceptional location in the heart of the city of Calgary, a dedicated and loyal clientele, and a fantastic, if not overly comprehensive menu that people love. And we were not intending to change any of that if we were able to get two of the three things put together. And so with that said, that's what we did. And coming forward to today.
So is there anything new that customers can expect at the restaurant when they come in?
I think so. You know, again, it's one of my hopes that when our customers, new and old, come in, that they notice those, particularly those who have come here for so long, that they notice some of the subtleties that we've done here. Again, she wasn't broken, but we put a little lipstick on her. We gave her a little bit of a facelift in a couple of key areas. Some new flooring, some new paint, brighten things up a little bit. Certainly the building needed an extremely good cleaning, and that's been done head to toe. And of course, in our pandemic world that we live in today, Mario, obviously we've had to maintain a very strict criteria of cleaning, and we have done that. I'm very proud to report. And so that'll be what I would say is the front of the house subtleties. In behind the scenes, many things that I won't go into, but we redid the entire kitchen. We went in, took all the equipment out, had an assessment of what needed to be done in there, not only to bring Buon Giorno's up from 35, 40 years of operating history, replaced all the equipment to brand new, redid some flooring, redid some plumbing, made sure that we are, quite candidly, operating in the year 2020 code, and we have done that throughout the back. So one of the things, hopefully, that you will notice when you walk in, it is cleaner smelling. You'll notice that the equipment is newer, and the staff, quite candidly, are very happy about that.
Super. Now, okay, David, don't take offense to my next question, but
I'll do my best.
Are you crazy? Think about this. Like, you know, most restaurants right now are shutting their doors because of the time and the climate that we're in, and the rules and restrictions they have, right? Including the 50% capacity roughly, right? And all that stuff. Why are you doing this?
Labor of love, I suppose. There's sort of a business mantra that always says, never fall in love with a project or an asset. Well, you know, Buon Giorno's is a slightly different, in my humble opinion anyways, as it is, a slightly different example of that model, or exception to that rule. And the reason being is because of all the things I was saying earlier. An institution with a loyal following, an amazing location. People value and love this restaurant. There's a nostalgia and a history here that so many families, so many kids that are now adults that are in the retirement years, who have always made up our dedicated patrons. That was the first leaning reason why. You know, secondly, in this, I'm always very delicate about this comment, Mario, and it's because I don't ever want to sound offending to any of the other long storied restaurants, particularly Italian restaurants in the city of Calgary, that have decided to close their doors in advance of March of this year that occurred. And one of the things, the loss of other Italian restaurants and other ethnic restaurants and any restaurants, quite candidly, it's sad to speak to that in our economy in this city. But there are still customers, there are still patrons that want to go out and have a dining experience, regardless of the rules that we must comply with, that will still come.
Yeah.
With that said, I think you'd be hard pressed to look at what I'll call the city core, the city center, and find me 2 or 3 max, including Buon Giorno, that are still open. And with that, we recognize that the appetite, and I use that word not tongue in cheek, but intentionally, is still very much there for the same great menu and the same great fresh items that we have always provided. So, and that really is the logic behind why we did this. The other smart ass comment that I can probably give you is, you know what, we wanted to guarantee ourselves a lunch and a dinner that we've always loved that was missing for the last 4 months.
Okay, super. So speaking of obviously the menu and the food,
yes.
So who's your chef?
So our chef is Salvatore Vellante, for the evening chef, a face and a voice that many people will love or remember, going back many, many, many years in Calgary. So those of your followers on this who will see this interview will recognize his name, probably going back to a restaurant named DePaulo that was further down 17th Avenue. He worked there for a number of years. He actually, for over 40 years, he's been a chef, I'd like to point out. And he actually had I don't want to call it an internship, but he was employed here many, many decades ago as a cook, as he was growing in his business, in his culinary business. And he joins us after having been at Buon Giorno for the last 4.5 years. One of the heart and souls to this kitchen, which I'm very excited and very pleased to talk about, is a lady by the name of Sahan Chan. She has been here for 38 years. She'll get mad at me for throwing out the number, but she is the heart and soul to all the day preparations, the day cooking, our menu items and our menu lunch. Between the two of them, an extremely good bond and a very good relationship that they've managed to cultivate over the last years prior to us. And so those are our two principles.
Okay, super. Okay, I got to ask this question. I'm curious.
Okay.
Do you have an Italian blood in you?
Does an Italian ex-wife count?
Okay.
I know how to gesture a lot. The reality and the long and short of it, and this is where a lot of Italians will roll over, is no, I do not. I am proudly Canadian for many, many generations. Most of my background is English. My partner is Scottish with French, probably a 50-50 mix. But I am pleased that we have the Italian component in the kitchen, also in some of the cooks and support staff. And of course, Mario, if you'll recognize some of the faces from the front of house staff, our wait staff, you'll recognize 2 or 3 Italians that have been here for many years. And those are the key ingredients to this restaurant. Yeah. It's not us as new owners. And again, just to paraphrase it, or just to say again, it wasn't our intention to make any changes. You know, certainly some subtleties on a few things, but the things that I hope that people just recognize our vision as a compliment to what has been this restaurant. Yeah. But the experience that has been provided when you sit down at Buon Giorno's, as many will know who watch this, will recognize that this is an experience. We are not some of the other peers, the more, I don't want to say trendy, that's a bad word, but some of the more restaurants where you're kind of in and out, more of a bar environment, yeah. A little louder. When you come to Buon Giorno's, yes, we have the loud, but it's usually from the laughing, the gregarious stories, the people sitting at the tables, just enjoying a traditional sit-down, family-styled Italian meal with great wine. And that's the vision that we have, that we never wanted to change. We wanted to maintain that. And start to attract some of those faces that maybe didn't forget about us, but just kind of went, maybe not as easy to, easy to get into, go to. It's just faster, et cetera, et cetera. We need to get those people back here and recognize, look, we are still the same great restaurant.
Okay, and last question I have for you.
Okay.
Look down that menu, and it's an extensive Italian menu. What's your favorite? What's your favorite?
Oh, that's an unfair question because there are so many over the years. You know, and this is a bit of the difficult part, Mario, because over the years, so many people have liked the pasta platters, and more particularly the seafood platter. They're geared for larger numbers. Obviously, we've had to scale back those quantities because we can only sit 6 at the table. Yeah. But, from my standpoint, listen, I am an absolute sucker for a capellini and a bolognese. Absolutely, all day long, every day. You pick your noodle, but the sauce is terrific. I love my veal. So, a lemon veal is one of our traditional and fantastic dishes. Light as a meal itself, not heavily sauced, perfectly sauced. Prepared with love, as I like to say. So I'll throw those two out. But, it's my hope as people have. I'll maybe turn this question back to you, actually. What's your favorite this year that you remember?
Oh, my gosh. You know what? I think it's probably the veal.
Fantastic.
I'm a big veal fan. And if it's done well, and, of course, with some vino rosso and, I'm in my happy place.
Fantastic. Well, I'm just going to do this. So this is our new menu. It's exactly the same, but it's a new layout and a new font, but all of the same ingredients, comprehensive as it's always been. But one of the great strengths, and I will put this right up here for you because I think you can probably see that. There we go. One of the things about this menu is as comprehensive and as detailed as it is. The options are intentional. And one of the great things about our kitchen is a lack of arrogance. If somebody wants something prepared in a slightly different way, change a noodle, change a sauce, we will do that. We always have, we always will.
Okay, super then. Well, thanks very much, David, for joining us today. I look forward to dropping in a very near future.
Fantastic, Mario. I'm pleased to do this. Thank you very much. I'd love the opportunity to get our word out.
Okay, super. That was David Harrison, who is one of the new partners in the resurrected Buon Giorno restaurant on 17th Avenue, right across from Mount Royal Village. This has been It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Thanks for joining us today.